Hello and welcome to another Company of Heroes 3 game. My name is Fancy Josh, and today I've got a game for you between Markov666 as our Wehrmacht, and his opponent today is going to be Mighty DexY as our British. Now this is Dexon, and I know this to be true because I actually saw this game live on Twitch, and I enjoyed it so much that I decided I was going to bring it to you guys, and hopefully you enjoy it as much as I did. So, British player opening with Australian Defense Battle Group and immediately adding on these Australian Light Infantry here. German player opening very standard with 3 Pioneers into Heavy Machine Gun. So that's a little unusual because you'll see folks a lot of time go for Grenadier first again to further increase their capture power. But our German has opted to go for a Heavy Machine Gun here instead, and does seem to be very focused on this topside fuel point, throwing down sandbags right away. Love to see this. Getting out on the field early, building up field defenses, making his life a bit easier as the game goes on. And our British player is doing something a little unusual here. A lot of times you'll see folks go for a single Australian Light Infantry just to increase capture power, but this unit does not have snares. And that, while the infantry section does, right, with their anti-tank grenades. So a lot of times you'll see just one of these units to increase capture power, have a little bit of utility and anti-infantry before moving more into infantry sections here. Heavy machine gun gonna get a suppression on this Australian Light Infantry. Pioneers closing the gap to increase their DPS there, and is going to walk away with 2 fuel points from the looks of things here. Royal Engineers on the bottom side, though, may have something to say about that here shortly. Grenadier following up the Heavy Machine Gun, sticking his Heavy Machine Gun with these Pioneers, making sure they're safe all the time here. And both, well, German player throwing down a ton of field defenses here. Love to see it. Section command post on the way here. Does feel like we're going to see an infantry section next, potentially. Going for a mortar instead. Interesting. Okay. And before you guys think that I know exactly what happens in this game, I only caught the last, I'd say 10 minutes of this game, so I don't actually know how we got to the point we were at in the game. So this is all new to me here. So mortar being added on. Interesting choice. Feels like he wants to be able to deal with that heavy machine gun. Mortars, of course, saw that pretty significant buff last patch with reducing time to target on projectiles from 5 seconds to 2.5. And that makes a big difference when moving away units. I think the community is a little mixed on whether that actually is impactful. For me personally, it's been very impactful. And I think, you know, I'm not a very high-level player, so don't know how it plays out at a high level, and I guess we're going to find out this game. 3rd Australian Light Infantry on the field here, so really going to have a complete lack of snaring ability here. Mortar getting some decent connections against the Heavy Machine Gun, down to half health there. Heavy Machine Gun going to reposition. Australian Light Infantry moving in. Mortar's going to have to get out of there potentially. German player using breakthrough tactics here. I don't know why I always end the word, or always add on to the end of that sentence the word tactics. It's just breakthrough. And breakthrough lets you capture territory extremely quickly, but isn't actually capturing any territory other than this one. Australian Light Infantry did take down the Heavy Machine Gun there, but quickly going to be recaptured by those Pioneers. So only ending up in a loss of manpower and a half-track on the way for our German player. Interesting there, that 251. So I'm curious what he's got in mind for that unit. Probably going to be a Stummel, if I had to guess. And a pack gun after that. So very cool here. So it feels like he wants the Stummel for anti-infantry. I mean, he really doesn't have a lot of fighting power, right? He's just got 1 single Grenadier and 1 single Heavy Machine Gun. And this 251 upgraded to a Stummel could do pretty well in that regard. And then, of course, he's going to have the pack to defend. And as I'm saying that out loud, doesn't necessarily need the Stummel at all. Just going to be able to chase away those Australian light infantry. And I think this unit is particularly good in this situation because British player has literally 0 anti-tank. Can't even upgrade into grenades to have snares here. So 251 going to do pretty darn well. British player has not gone for his platoon command post yet. So cannot add on AT guns or Humber armored car just yet. Both players trading fuel here a little bit. British player going to end up with all the fuel down here on the beach. Pioneers trying to stop the connection from happening, even going for this cutoff point here. So lovely use of their various armies here, just being annoying as possible. And oh man, even going to pick up this this guaranteed fuel point outside his opponent's base there. Love to see that. Just look at those fuel incomes. Going to be basically nothing here in a minute. Oh, does he have a connection here? He does. He's got a really weird connection around this side. That's hilarious. So despite all the cutoff takes, our British player is still connected. That's crazy. But nice steal on this guaranteed fuel point. Gonna make his opponent's life super annoying. Medical station being added on for our German. Gonna heal his units back up. Opting for that instead of the bunker with the casualty replenishment. Grenadiers gonna be in full retreat here. 251 already veteran C1. Mortar helping out against this heavy machine gun bottom side. That unit's gonna have to get out of there. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from this mortar so far here. 2-pounder added on. And if I had a brain, I would have predicted that that was going to happen because, of course, Australian Defense Battle Group love their 2-pounders. Typically, you'll see a 6-pounder added on in addition. See if our player wants to go for that this game. And Panzer Grenadiers on the way. Very cool. So I think Panzer Grenadiers, good option here. So this is the type of game, excuse me, let me start over. This game demonstrates what I've been hypothesizing. Oh man, mortar connecting with the half-track there. Might even get another one. But yeah, this game is showing what I've been hypothesizing to be true, which is that German players have the potential to skip Grenadiers almost entirely. You know, they nerfed the reinforce into the ground, but and only lightly nerfed their population cap, which is barely going to matter. Their 2-pounder getting a good connection. Half-track is going to get away. So what that means is, you know, we're going to see, I think that we're going to see more team weapons and more elite infantry, either being Jaegers or Panzer Grenadiers. And I think, you know, Markos is maybe experimenting with that this game, so I'm gonna have an eye on that this game, see how it ends up playing out. Panzer Grenadiers using breakthrough here to capture territory quickly. Gonna jump on top of these Australian light infantry and absolutely shred them at this close range here. Australian light infantry doing okay, but ultimately going to be forced back there. And love these breakthrough. This breakthrough letting him pick up a ton of territory really, really quickly there. Just look at that capture rate. Oh my god. So Stummel did end up getting upgraded there, although it took a little bit longer than I thought it would. So going to be doing pretty well here. 2-pounder is moving into position to deal with the Stummel there. Pioneers in a blob here, going to close the gap with the 2-pounder. 2-pounder is going to flee here. Grenadiers on the scene. Mortar also there. So going to be a kind of a wide fight here. Stummel getting aggressive, knowing that the 2-pounder is being forced to reposition. 2-pounder ought to make it back to base, so not going to be stolen, even though it may be killed. Pioneer being lost in this aggressive push here. 2-pounder connecting with the 251 there as it flees, and is going to get a max range shot there. I think that was attack ground. I don't think he had vision of that unit, so really nice shot there. Grenadiers picking up the fuel. So Markov trying to be annoying as possible here and succeeding, I would say. Was a bit of an expensive loss there. Pioneers and Stummel going down. Not the end of the world, of course, but sure he's not going to be feeling too good about that. And going up to Panzer Company here, so rushing potentially for Stosstroop in here. Another Pioneer, another Royal Engineer being added on for a German player. Interesting choice there. I wonder what he's got in mind for that. Huh. Yeah, interesting choice. Maybe he just feels like he needs more utility, potentially more field defenses. Wants close-range fighting power against the Panzer Pioneers? I'm not sure. Heavy machine gun, gonna push away the Australian light on this bottom side, but will ultimately have to give up this point. Just keeping that heavy machine... Interestingly enough, keeping this heavy machine gun in the wings a little bit here, just trying to control... control his fair share of the resources on this bottom side. Looks like he was anticipating a flank there that never came. But while all this is happening, British player capturing a ton of territory on that top side. Literally our Germans' entire army moving into this bottom side here. And this is an interesting way to play this map in particular. I think you can be successful with something like this where you dive deep onto your opponent's victory point on their side of the beach. The problem with a play like this is that you're really overextended. There are a lot of flanking opportunities for your opponent, and so it's a less popular strategy on this map. Pioneers actually closing with the mortar and the 2-pounder there. 2-pounder, of course, not going to contribute anything with this, with the total lack of vehicles. Panzer Grenadiers coming to help. Heavy machine gun holding the line. But, yeah, it does look like our British player is going to pretty definitively win this fight. Stosstrooping on the field. Also headed to this bottom side. And that's the risk of a push like that. That right there is why we don't see players do what our German player just did. Because it's a long way to go to not capture any territory. Right? And when you're going up to this top side, it's less risky. You don't have to necessarily commit as many forces, and it's easier to hold long term. So, 6-pounder on the way here for our British player. Is clearly anxious about a tech switch here. And by a tech switch, I mean using this, using the fuel. Get up some tanks here. I think a British player, he's making the right call here. He's recognizing that he's been harassed on fuel this entire game. He's making the assumption that he's behind on fuel. And in some ways, well, he most certainly is, right? And maybe he's a little bit early with his anti-tank timing, but better safe than sorry. And to be totally honest, it's not like he needs anything other than AT. So, heavy machine gun next, though, to deal with this infantry that our German player is clearly committed to. Grenadiers, oh man, both sides hitting a mine there. I'm not sure whose mine that was, but both players being punished for it. And man, that mortar's doing freaking work over here. What's it up to? Vet 1 already? I want to check how many kills that thing has. They did theoretically fix the bug with indirect fire not properly counting kills and gaining experience. So that mortar's kill count should be accurate. Heavy machine gun here, gonna pin down those Pioneers. Pioneers managing to escape the arc there. Mortar set up again. How many kills you got? Only 4. But has done a ton of damage as we've seen over the course of this game. And team weapons research on the way for a British player there. Gonna give him that increased fire rate is the big one. Australian light infantry actually dueling with this heavy machine gun while being suppressed. Heavy machine gun gonna give up the position. Stosstroop helping out against those forward Australian light infantry. And German player finally moving into this top side. Look how red it is up here. And we just saw, Australian light infantry just walk all through that area and pick up everything that he wanted. Panzer IV added on here. Panzer IV, of course, jack of all trades. Going to do really well against all this infantry, but going to struggle against the AT guns. So what's interesting is, in my time casting, which to be frank isn't that long, I have seen a lot of Sturmpanzer. Like, when German players reach this position in the game where they're ahead on fuel and their opponent has a ton of infantry, it is way, way more popular, in my opinion, that we see Sturmpanzer. But I was talking with Uvaldi yesterday during the cast of the Eagle Strike tournament, and he was saying that Panzer IV way more popular in a tournament setting and generally in his experience at a high level in 1v1s. And that surprised me a bit. And this is really bad for this Panzer IV, by the way. Oh my god, is he going to get out? Gonna lose vision, attacking ground. Oh my god. Wow, that was really, really bad. That was really bad for our German player. I'm trying to tell a story over here, and that tank just got wrecked. So by the way, I think we're about to get to the part of the game where I tuned in, so I haven't seen anything up to this point before. So, okay. Well, my point is, Sturmpanzer, really, really good against AT because of that insane frontal armor. And I think it's really good against what our opponent is got on the field here, but of course it's way less mobile. So maybe a small mistake, well, maybe a small mistake in terms of build order for our German, but definitely a big mistake losing that Panzer. That said, both players very even on victory points. German has done better on fuel overall, so despite that pretty devastating loss, the game is relatively even from a tech perspective. Fuel perspective, I should say. Maybe a slight advantage to our British player here. Big push coming in all across the map here. Stoßtruppen gonna smoke out or phosphorus out the heavy machine gun out of that building, force the retreat there. Heavy machine gun repositioned against the mortar barrage. More Stoßtruppen coming in on the flank. Gonna force those mortars back there, and nice little win here. Great use of all his units there. Oh man, gonna pick up the heavy machine gun? Not quite, barely not gonna get him there. So, yeah, I mean, all things considered, composition looking pretty decent for both our players here. German player lacking on AT, I would say, a bit. We could see another AT gun potentially. Could see him save up for another Panzer IV. I think there are a lot of right answers for our German here. And, okay, Stoßtruppen dueling it out here. Panzer Grenadiers also in the area, going to try and close that gap there. These Australian Light Infantry using their active ability to snipe out some units there, and I really quickly want to show that here. So that is the, if I could figure it out, sharpshooter ability. So slows, makes them easier to hit, does a ton of damage. It's great. Really strong ability, and it's going to be really good against those Stoßtruppen. And a Panzer IV on the way, okay. So Panzer IV gonna be the choice, and gonna be up against, what do we think it is? Feels like a Matilda. It is indeed. Oh man, I'm getting so much better at those silhouettes. So Matilda, I think, is a fantastic option here for the same reason that a Sturmpanzer would be good, right? It's got that... It got buffed last patch, increased its army from like 280 to 310, which those numbers I don't actually know what they mean in practice, but more armor, more gooder. And that's just the front armor, by the way. Oh man. Royal Engineers getting a huge hit from the Panzer IV there. Panzer IV gonna miss on the exit. AT guns doing a huge number on that Panzer IV. Yeah, gotta be really careful. I think we've seen Markov be very, very aggressive with his tanks. And, I mean, there are definitely cases where that's going to work out big time. But this is not one of them. Is that a mine drop? Oh, flame drop here. Going to hit the building. burn out the heavy machine gun there. And Matilda moving forward, pack gun respecting. Victory points currently favoring the British. So yeah, this Matilda, like I said, good choice. Doesn't have a ton of anti-tank threats to deal with, and really needs to deal with this elite infantry, and Matilda is a great choice for that. Getting some side armor hits, though, with the pack gun. Gonna force that unit back. Panzer IV joining the fray as well. One more shot, not gonna happen. Oh, it did happen, but it bounced. I'm gonna go ahead and credit that with the patch notes. That was the extra armor making the difference there, I'm sure. And what is next for our German here? Could see another Panzer. Panzer IV spam can always be good and overwhelm the AT guns he's up against potentially if he's able to keep them alive. Could also see, I mean, the end of this tech tree is a Tiger, so we could be seeing a Tiger next potentially. Stoßtruppen chasing down these Australian light infantry as they retreat there. Doesn't look like he's going to get any permanent wipes. And we're just going to see him clean up this whole territory. Heavy machine gun is going to try and slow that down, though. Mortar continuing to be annoying here. Now, this is a hold down. What's it called with when they do it? The hold down, right? Increasing its rate of fire here. Heavy AT gun's actually finding an angle there on the Panzer. Going to force him back. Matilda coming in as well. This is a very tightly clustered fight here. Phosphorus grenade going to drive back the heavy machine gun. And surprisingly, German player in full retreat there, baiting in this Matilda, getting a snare there. Heavy AT gun also getting a connection. And what a bizarre little fight here. Matilda in that little gap, actually doing okay. Great connection against the Grenadiers there. Matilda just able to tank all this damage, does not care. And very cool. Here comes the Australian on the side. Panzer going to defend against this push here. And is going to drive that unit back before it can cut him off. Pioneers diving on this fuel point. Does look like they're going to finish the capture, but might get punished on the retreat here. One more shot from the Matilda. Royal Engineers not going to chase. Pioneers should make it out okay. So, yeah, anybody's game right now. British player, it does seem like he's asserting his dominance over the last few minutes here, which is a little surprising to me with just how elite our German's army is. And we're seeing tank training on the way here. Interesting. Uncommon upgrade there. British player has gone for the creeping barrage instead of the excuse me. Oh wow, heavy machine gun being picked up by the Matilda there. Goodness sake, can't remember the name of the big tank from the Australians. I think it's the Archer, but has gone for the creeping barrage instead. And yeah, actually, a little surprising to me that our British player didn't go for an Archer here, given that he knows his opponent has gone for breakthrough, and this battle group ends with a Tiger. Did see a second Matilda here, so really feeling like he needs anti-infantry, and this heavy armor is going to do work for him against the pack and Panzer IV. So yeah, what I was trying to look at here, yeah, so our German player doesn't have Panzer officers, which I think would actually go a long way here. Betting up his Panzer IV and his Stoßtruppen could be really stinking good. But these Matildas actually being fairly oppressive here against all this elite infantry. And British player tightening the noose down here on this bottom side, pinning his opponent back in his base, going to secure all this fuel for himself. AT guns at maximum range bouncing off the Panzer IV there. But Stoßtruppen doing really well at this maximum range, despite this being a veteran C3 Australian unit there. And here come the Matildas, going to pick up this Grenadier on its retreat there. AT gun firing at max range, getting some side hits on the Matilda, but ultimately just going to scratch the surface. AT gun's moving up here. Panzer pushing forward in a really bad spot. That is not a place that Panzer wants to be. All those penetrations going right through that unit's armor. And these veterancy high vet units got that 25% weapon penetration on the 2-pounder. 6-pounders got what? Just accuracy. Never gets that penetration bonus, but every shell going right through their intended targets, though. Panzer IV trying to stop this heavy machine gun from going down. Might succeed. Barely going to escape. And a very red map here. Stoßtruppen losing to those Australian light infantry at long range there. That's incredible to see. Pack finally helping out here. And it feels like our British player has his opponent's number here. He's got all the units he needs working in concert down here. We're starting to see the over-repaired units here, effectively increasing their maximum health. Going to make these units even scarier to deal with that insane armor. German players lost a number of units recently. We saw some Pioneers go down. We saw Grenadier go down. So that unit preservation is looking a little bit rough. And Grant tanks on the way, potentially, for our British player. He's picking up the tech here. So, interesting choice there. Looks like he changed his mind. Perhaps a misclick. Yeah, does look like it. German player having enough of the beach fighting. Going to move into this top side with his entire army. Going to definitively push back all this light infantry. Might even chase here. Should know where his opponent's AT guns are, but not going to chase. Doesn't know if there's mines in the fog of war there. Just going to get just drain a little bit of manpower here, and Bishop's on the way for our British player. Instead, Matildas have had enough time to move into this area. We're seeing breakthrough being used here. The over-repair appearing like no damage was done there. Going to drain the over-repair off of both his units here. AT gun in a really bad position here. Should get chased by these Matildas. Panzer way on the wings. Suffering from its own debuff there. And yeah, Matilda's just going to get aggressive here. Panzer IV just bouncing every shell, seemingly. AT guns ought to be close by at this point. Now they are. And is going to destroy this pack gun. That's a pretty devastating loss for our German player. And Tiger available now. Has just enough fuel to call that in. So we are going to see a Tiger here right as our British player goes for Bishops. So, Bishops against our German player's army composition is an interesting choice. So, I mean, Bishops can be... I mean, we could see them firing into the base to really seal the deal here, right? I mean, it could be some serious manpower drain on some retreating units. It is very much going to struggle against a Tiger in general because of the mobility of the Tiger. And I say that as in the Tiger can move, not that it can move fast. But looks like our British player trying to get aggressive here is going to see the Tiger for the first time, eating a shell with those Australian light infantry there. Mortar actually still alive here. What is that mortar up to? Vet 2 here. Continuing to pay dividends, I would say. Australian light infantry going to get picked up on the retreat. That's a big deal here. 2-pounder, 6-pounder, getting some side armor shots on this Tiger. Going to force him back. Just a little bit there. And feels like we need more Pioneers. I guess we have 2 on the field. They're not terrible. But with this amount of armor and his full reliance on these tanks to do anything this game, I do expect, I mean, the more these Tigers, more these units can be in the fight, the better. German player struggling for munitions here. I was going to say it'd be great to see him move in with the Tiger and maybe throw down an incendiary barrage to force these AT guns to reposition, potentially pick up some models there. Panzer Grenadier is going to find this heavy machine gun in this very low health house there. And looks like our German player just wants to force it down middle. He's going to run into these Matildas and AT guns. All those shells bouncing off the front, though. Matilda's focusing the heavy machine gun, as they should. Tiger actually doing a huge amount of damage there. Over repair did save that unit from the first shot, and actually going to bounce a Tiger shell. Now that I will attribute to the patch notes for sure. Bouncing shells from a Tiger is not an easy feat. Tiger looks like he wanted to get aggressive against the heavy machine gun there, but AT gun's going to force him all the way back. Pioneers coming in. Might see the building go down here. Is barely going to collapse the building, but heavy machine gun did manage to escape. Hold down Panzer on this side. Going to lock down this command point, and Stosstrooping on the top side, picking up that point up there. Over repair in progress here. And we see a bishop trying to find the repairing Tiger. There's a second bishop on the field, so going all in on this unit is very cool here. Bishop's going to barrage. Looks like potentially the main base. Nope. Just trying to lock his unit out of coming out of the base there. Okay, yeah, he is hitting the main base over there. And light vehicle training on the way for the benefit of those bishops, I do believe. I think that light vehicle training hits bishops. Let me see here. Yeah, it does. Cool. Heavy machine gun out of position, gonna get totally slain by the Matildas, but Tiger coming up behind the Matildas, gonna do some serious work here. Breaking through that over repair almost immediately, but unable to chase here. A bunch of mines ready for the flank, but being disabled by the minesweepers of these Pioneers. AT guns, where are the AT guns? Coming back out of the base, looks like they may have been forced back and refitted. German player going to clear out these mines, gaining some veterancy on these Pioneers, which not enough to quite push them into Vet 2, which would have been a big deal actually. Tilda's moving in, and British player content to just hold it down in the middle there. Vet 1 on the Tiger now. Did he end up picking up? He still hasn't picked up that Panzer Company training. I really do think he could benefit pretty significantly from that. Does have the resources for it, but it feels like he might be saving up for potentially another Panzer IV. I still think a Sturmpanzer would be a good choice at this stage in the game. And Australian Light Infantry chasing those units all the way back into their base. Going to eat a ton of damage there. Here come the Panzer Grenadiers on the flank, though, with the Stosstrooping as well. Those Vet 3 anti-infantry, anti-tank weapons going to flee for their lives there. Barrage actually connecting with the Tiger there. Tiger backing up into the barrage a little bit there, but not going to connect. Tilda's getting aggressive here. And a Matilda aggression into a Tiger is suicide if you ask me, but that is a low health Tiger. But all those shells bouncing off the front. Matilda's once again benefiting from their over repair, actually getting another penetration. Tiger very low here. Not going to finish the job. And what a crazy aggression that was. Panzer IV had to unhull down and come over here to help out. Stosstrooping getting totally wrecked by the Matilda plus mortar combo. Tiger bravely coming out of the base here to try and deal with these units. Are we seeing another barrage here? No, we are not.
The beggars are threatening a munitions point.
So, German player way down on victory points here. Needs to make a move really quickly. Bishop's being forced back here, as are the Matildas. Matilda hasn't been repaired up yet, and Tiger taking advantage of the situation, moving in. Gonna force these Matildas back. Oh, unfortunately for him, missing the low health Matilda. I think he was attacking ground into the fog of war. Here comes a Bishop barrage, though. Gonna force all these units back. Pioneers have to flee. And it's amazing to me that these Bishops are controlling the flow of battle here at all. Like, they are controlling these tanks a little bit here. It's just an amazing use there. Stosstrooping moving into that top side. There is a heavy machine gun there waiting for that push. AT gun's going to pick up the Panzer IV. Oh my goodness. German player losing track of his unit a little bit there. And it did look like our German had his unit focused, fired by those AT guns. So well done by Dex in there. So Tiger is the last bastion of hope here. Looks like it's going to move in and try and force back this heavy machine gun. AT guns not responding. So Tiger is going to be able to win this victory point by the looks of it. Instantly retreating, going to get one more shot. Might take him out on the retreat. Not going to happen. Brick wall saving the day. German players, his entire army moving up to this top side. It feels like there is one unit on that bottom side. Staatstroepen trying to deal with these Australian light infantry, but good God, those Vet 3 units are really stinking good. Barrage coming down on the top side. Looks like it's going a little bit long. Potentially just a maximum range barrage, so very high spread on those barrages there. Not going to connect with anything meaningful. AT guns moving forward, doesn't have vision of that tank though, so not going to get involved. And German player actually managing to pick up all 3 victory points here for a little bit.
Victory point lost. The enemy has control.
Tiger rolling back to base here to get repaired up once again. Staatstroepen moving to that bottom side. Maybe anticipating his opponent moving in on the top side, because that's where he last saw those units. Vet 2 Tiger already here. And Stuart tanks on the way. Potentially thinking about the utility of the Stuart here. Not for its firepower, of course.
We're down to 200 points.
Tiger only has 15 kills, but 15% rate of fire is no joke with a gun that big. British player quickly moving to rectify the situation on the bottom side. Pioneers on the top side going to be supported by these, are going to be run off by these Matilda and Royal Engineer combo. They're going to quickly secure that point, and the bleed is immediately going to be back on here. Staatstroepen trying to fight their way in. Tiger looks like it's moving down to the bottom side to support. Is going to get a good connection. Finally picked up that Panzer officer quarters, which I think is really important to do there. Getting another pick off on the Australian light. Might have a chance at wiping here. Not quite going to happen. Unit wasn't quite clustered up enough. Pioneers moving in to grab this victory point. Tiger's going to have something to say about this heavy machine gun holding it down. Matilda's AT guns all moving down. We're probably seeing a Bishop barrage here in the retreat path of this Tiger. Matildas are going to get on the flank here, so there is some potential for some side armor shots here. 6-pounder, 2-pounder setting up. Nothing penetrating just yet. Tiger unafraid, though. Matildas, actually, it's really the Matildas that are unafraid, running this Tiger down here. But that gun going to overpower the Matildas and force them back here a little bit. And actually, both players willing to trade units here. Trade armor damage. Pioneer's going to finish this capture to put the bleed back on the British player there. Did manage to get about 50 points in his last take there. Pioneer going to go down, unfortunately losing track of that unit at a critical moment in the game. And we're seeing another Panzer IV added on here. So very much committed to those Panzers. Heavy machine gun going to save the day. Suppress that unit there. But here comes the Grant. So I suspect we're going to see a tread shot here to cripple this unit. And quickly being totally... Stuart quickly going to go down, but not before a creeping barrage comes across this tank here. Matilda in the area, but creeping barrage is going to be enough. And Markov is going to surrender there. What a great game. Yeah, I mean, hopefully you could see why I wanted to show you that game. It was Matilda's facing down a Tiger and succeeding. And that was just truly astounding to me. And then the way that game finished off with a Stuart coming in for a tread shot, followed by a creeping barrage, was just so cool to see. So, man, I can't believe my overlay is still not working. Gonna have to figure out what's going on there, but quickly checking in on our players' elos here. We've got 1790 for Markov, and Dexon is 1805, so a very even match. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next video.